Hey everybody, welcome back. Today, even though it's only the second episode, we're going to veer off to the left just a little bit. I want to talk to you about British comedies. Instead of picking some obscure American shows, I want to talk to you about some shows that are probably very well known in England, but that you might not have heard of here. I'm going to talk about 3 shows, and apart from all being British comedies, there's one other thing that ties them all together. 15 Mad Centaur production points to anybody who figures out what it is. Those aren't worth anything, by the way, so I wouldn't put too much effort into it. The first show I'd really like to talk to you about is called Only Fools and Horses. I've got this here. Only Fools and Horses is very interesting. It was on the air for over 20 years, and it starts out, I'm just going to set that over there, as a fairly typical sitcom. It's 2 brothers and their grandfather living in government housing, essentially, and they try to make money by selling stuff on the cheap, on the black market, stuff that falls off the back of a truck, you know, that sort of thing. The older brother thinks he's a wheeling and dealing businessman. He's not. He thinks he's so charming no woman can resist him. He's not. The younger brother, kind of adult, but they're very likable characters, and it's a funny show. And it is very sitcom-y because, you know, at the end of every episode, everything's back to square one. Everything's back to normal. It's hilarious. Here's some moments from it.
Right. All right, Grandad, we're ready. You can start undoing it now.
He's coming, Dill boy. One more turn, Dill.
Right. Now brace yourself, Rodney. Brace yourself. Murray?
Yes?
Recognise you from your photograph. Jerry Trotter, you may remember me. I wrote to you some time ago about a...
Dale! Let's go!
Sorry, moustache. Duty calls.
But like I said, the show was on the air for a long time, and over time, an amazing thing happened with it. It evolved. It's still funny. It never stopped being funny. But you really start to become invested in these characters because you see so much of their life. You're with them for so long. You watch them change and grow, and the show's not afraid to change things. The main characters actually get married. They move apart. They still work together most of the time, but there's a season or 2 where the younger brother's off trying to make a straight living. He's trying to work in an office. The older brother has a son at one point. The son never becomes a main focus of the show. He's mostly there for punchlines, but it still changes. Characters, side characters, that are just kind of like, oh, they're in this one episode, and you never see them again. No. 5 seasons later, they come back, and it's explained where they've been, what's been going on. You actually start to care about all these characters, is the point I'm making. John Sullivan, who created the show, did an amazing job of making it very clear that there was a rich history to all of these people. They were all real people. And we were just seeing parts of their lives. It's amazingly well done. So much so that there's actually a prequel series that John Sullivan made before he passed away a couple years ago called Rockin' Chips. And people tuned in to see this prequel because they just wanted more of these characters that they knew and loved so much. It's a hilarious show. But over time, you start to feel like you're a part of the family. You start rooting for them. When they fail, you fail. It's amazing how involved you get in these characters. It's masterful writing. So I wanted to share that. Another series I want to share with you is one you've probably never heard of. Let me grab this here. Good Night, Sweetheart. I love this show. This is probably my favorite British sitcom. And actually, they don't have this available in America. I had to get this shipped over from England and then track down an all-region DVD player just to see it. It goes on for, I think, 6 seasons. And it is... I'm going to set this over here. It's very interesting. Nicholas Lyndhurst plays a character called Gary Sparrow. Gary Sparrow is a television repairman in the mid to late 90s. He's nothing special, as his wife will be quick to point out. His wife and him, they love each other, but their relationship is clearly on the rocks. She's a go-getter, and he's a sit-at-home-and-do-nothinger. And it causes tension. The point of the story is he discovers he has a unique ability. How he gets this ability, it's never explained, because the ability isn't the point. It's what happens as a result. There is an alleyway in London called Duckett's Passage, and he finds when he walks through this alleyway, he comes out the other side in World War II. Time moves at the same pace. He just leaps back in time to World War II. Same date, different year. And it takes a few episodes for him to finally get in his stride about this, how to manage it, but he picks up a whole other life back there. He becomes involved with the people back there. Because he's from the future, he becomes a World War II buff. And so he goes back in time and pretends to be a secret agent. That's how he knows the things he knows. No, listen, you gotta get underground today. There's gonna be a bombing run today. It's gonna take out the furniture factory. That sort of thing. Mind you, this is still a comedy the whole way through. Also, he plays the piano a little bit. I mean, he's not great, but he can pick out some Beatles tunes or whatever. Back in World War II, he's a genius songwriter, playing these songs nobody's ever heard of and claiming he wrote them for himself. And so he becomes kind of a hero back then. He likes this. But the main point of the movie, or the TV show, I'm sorry, is that Gary falls in love with a barmaid back in World War II. He doesn't mean to. And this is the hard part to sell. The show pulls it off. The show makes it work, and I hopefully am going to be able to sell it to you as well. Gary at no point comes across as a jerk, but he does juggle these two relationships, his wife in the present and the girl who becomes his wife in the past. Now, he never revels in this. It very much feels like a situation he couldn't avoid, that he got himself into, that there was no way out of it. It was unavoidable. And he spends all of this time running back and forth between the two time zones, trying to keep everybody happy, running himself ragged. His best friend in the present, the only person who knows his secret. It's a charming show. It's one that I like to watch when I'm feeling down, if I'm feeling sick, whatever. I enjoy it a lot. It makes me feel good. It makes me feel warm and happy. It's my favorite British comedy. I have no idea where you're going to track down a copy, but a lot of the episodes are up on YouTube if you wanted to watch them that way. It's definitely worth a look. The first couple episodes, it takes a little bit to get going because they got to introduce the premise and how it works and the characters. But once it gets going, it's good fun. Never has a time-traveling bigamist been so likable. The last one I want to talk to you about is a newer one. This is only a couple of years old. After You've Gone. Again, shipped in from England because not available in America, although I'm sure you could find it online if you looked hard enough. This one is really more a stereotypical sitcom. It doesn't challenge, it doesn't evolve. The main point is main character's wife, or ex-wife, sorry, they're divorced. They have 2 kids. The ex-wife is a nurse, and she goes off to work at a hospital in Africa. And so the husband, who's had nothing to do with the kids since the divorce, moves back into the house and is responsible for raising these kids. Now, he's kind of, he's a pretty much worthless handyman. Again, this character has no real talents. But he's struggling to be the best dad he can. And he's watched over every step of the way by his former mother-in-law, who has taken it upon herself to be the new mother figure for the children and to make sure he doesn't screw anything up. This is a standard sitcom. Everything's resolved by the end of every episode. It doesn't change. But it's pretty funny.
Well, you could stall her at the door while I run into Mole's room, get into bed, and pretend to be her asleep.
That's the least helpful idea I have ever heard.
You asked brilliant, not helpful.
Do it.
Oh, you're still here.
Oh, hi, Diana. Yes, finally got round to fixing this. I was just kidding.
Pity.
I don't have much more to offer beyond that, other than I think it's just a great number of actors putting in really solid performances. Again, hard to track down, but I think worth it. So there you go. Only Fools and Horses, Goodnight Sweetheart, and After You've Gone. All worth your time, I think, if you can stand British television at all. Anyway, that's it. See you next time.